Welcome inside the Quiet Storm. I'm Lenny Green, and I told you this brother was going to stop by tonight. And this brother, one of my colleagues just said the ideal word, a blessing. He's been a blessing to us. We've watched him from way back. I don't know if you go back to the Broadway debut of his appearance when he was in Hair.
That's going back.
That's going back. But brother from another planet, I got the brother who was from that planet, and he knows how to survive. So I'm trying to get the ingredients of the magic of what happens and how do we keep this magic alive. It is a pleasure to honor to welcome Daddy Pope, a.k.a. Joe Morton. Thank you, man.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It is such an honor and a pleasure to see you. Your body of work is tremendous. And
thank you.
When you look back, going back to here, what two words could you say about your life?
About my life?
About your life.
I mean, I think that consistency is the one word that I think I would use. I mean, what I've tried to do is put together a string of black characters that were not necessarily pimps, certainly weren't drug deals, which is what I sort of walked into as a young man.
Right.
And I've tried to sort of keep that all the way through. As a matter of fact, even with Scandal and Papa Pope, I was actually at that point looking deliberately for a smart bad guy.
Really?
And that just fell into my lap, yeah.
Well, you know, you're a tough guy. I mean, you know, I know the James Brown song, Papa Don't Take No Mess.
Right.
But Daddy didn't take no mess either.
He did not.
Bad man.
I mean, the idea of that show obviously was to present a black character, male, who loved his daughter, took care of his daughter, and took care of this country, even when those two things were in conflict.
And now that Scandal has ran its course.
Yes.
Happy? Are you happy? Are you
absolutely.
sad?
No, well, I think we were all a bit, you know, when you do something that long and you have that much love for it, when it goes away, yes, it sort of breaks your heart. But it's not the end of not the end of the relationships I have with the other actors. Number one, certainly not the end of the relationship I have with Shonda. I'm sure at some point, hopefully, we will do something else together. But then you look. I mean, you know, I'm an actor, so you look forward to what's going to come up next.
Is there anything challenging left for you when it comes to the world of acting?
Always, always.
Really?
I mean. So I go from playing Papa Pope to now playing a minister. Yes. I've never played a minister before. So that in itself presents a wonderful challenge. I mean, if you're playing a guy who has his own church celebrating 25 years in that church, so what kind of personality is capable of doing that? I mean, it's not a little church somewhere in some little town somewhere. This is a major church in Harlem. So that says something about him.
He's the backdrop to your life, Harlem.
It's where I was born.
Right.
It's not where I grew up. My dad was in the Army, so we traveled all over the place. I mean, we traveled outside. I basically lived outside of this country until I was 10 years old.
Wow. Amazing. We have, of course, Joe Morton with us tonight. Now, you are a musician, aside from being an actor.
Yes.
He didn't bring his guitar tonight. I know you're an avid guitar player.
Yes.
But that means you have a strong appreciation for music.
Yes.
That means you have a wonderful catalog of music.
I think I do, yeah.
So when it comes to R&B and classics, what slow jam stands out for you?
See, for me, it's jazz. So Miles Davis, Sketches in Spain.
Wow.
Afro Blue in terms of John Coltrane, Thelonious Monk, almost anything. So that's kind of where I sleep.
Look, we're going to come back with Joe Morton and we're going to go into some music right now and come back with Joe Morton to talk more about this wonderful drama series that he just softly scratched the surface on and what he's doing every Sunday night now as a minister. And his son is very interesting. We'll find out what role that he plays in just a moment. This is The Quiet Storm, baby. Soft and warm, The Quiet Storm. I'm going to break out the candles for you ladies, and if you're already in the bubble bath, I truly appreciate it. I'm going to make the music just as soothing and comfortable for you because I know you've had a long day. But we have great conversation for you, which will help build up to this special moment that we have together later on after Joe leaves us. Joe Morton with us. And
I'm already jealous. I mean, you're talking about ladies and bathtubs and candles and soft music, and then you're talking about after I leave. I don't know. So what's going on?
No, but what's going on, Joe? You know, I can't do this with another man in the building. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, the ladies and I, you know, we have that moment of intimacy, and intimacy doesn't have to be physical. You know?
Absolutely.
So, you know, we just have that moment. So don't be jealous, brother. So let's talk about God Friend to Me.
Absolutely.
You play in a minister. It's on CBS every Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Every Sunday is 8 o'clock on
8
Sundays.
o'clock. So this is I don't know what kind of research you do and have done. Obviously, you had to maybe study a few ministers or maybe been to a church. Or
The minister I'm using as my template for this character is Michael Curry. He is the gentleman, for those of you who don't know, who was the Episcopalian bishop who showed up at the royal wedding.
Yes.
That everybody thought was Baptist because of the way he preached. So he's kind of the template that I'm using.
So you're playing the minister. Your
Yes.
son has a podcast.
Yes. And he is an
he's
atheist. Yes.
Oh.
So as Javicia Leslie says in the show, so do the math.
Well, the interesting thing about it, he gets a friend request from quote unquote God.
Well, from an account called God on his Facebook page, and he at first thinks it's a joke. He's just going to ignore it, but he begins to pursue it. And basically, what this account does is it pushes him to help people. So it's not there to haunt him or to call him names, but it pushes him to help somebody that might be in trouble.
But if we all looked at it this past Sunday, it looked like, and I get what you're saying, it looked like we really don't know what the deal is. Because
no, we don't. We have no idea whose account this is and where it comes from,
Right.
or why they're doing it to him.
And he's been faced with interesting challenges
Yes.
that he has to figure out.
Yes. And then you find out that also these challenges are connected in some way.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's very timely. It relates to millennials, but it also relates to us, as grown and sexy folks. And what do you hope in being a part of this wonderful production? Because obviously you would not allow yourself to be a part of something that you didn't believe in and you didn't like yourself. What do you hope people will walk away when they see this series?
Well, I'm hoping that they realize that, especially these days, we kind of think that we are all separate, that we're kind of these islands floating around in the sea of humanity, separate from one another, trying to protect ourselves from whatever else is out there, when in fact we are connected.
Yeah.
And that's the mosaic that makes up humanity. So that's part of it. The other part of it is that we learn to help one another. I mean, we're at a point now where help is kind of one of those things where, no, I don't want to be involved, what if I get it wrong, et cetera, et cetera. But if we actually stopped to help one another, things might get a little bit better. If we got to a place where we could find some common ground instead of I'm right, you're wrong kind of thing, instead of the tribal thing, especially in politics that seems to be going on. I think that there would be more progress. So those are the things I hope people come away with.
Joe Morton is his name. You know him very, very well. We're going to go into some more music, and come back talk with Joe. I'm interested to learn about the good fight that he's been doing for a lot of us in Hollywood. So we'll come back in just a moment. This is The Quiet Storm. Soft and warm, The Quiet Storm. I'm Lenny Green. Coming up at 10 o'clock, we're going to get inside of Confessions of Love. I'm not going to put Joe on the spot tonight and get into your love life. Joe Morton with us tonight. But how is your love life, sir?
That's just fine.
Is it really?
Absolutely.
You have a very grueling lifestyle, one might say, because you're an actor, and you've been doing it for quite some time. Is it easy to be with someone who's just as busy as you are, or someone that's in the business? I mean, how does that work?
The woman that I'm with is not in this business, although we met at a theater where she was working. But I think it's easier, no matter what situation you might find yourself in, it's easier if your partner understands what it is you're doing and vice versa. Otherwise, again, you're sort of in a situation where you're going in opposite directions and not helping one another.
That's true. Now, I know you have a birthday coming up, right?
Yes.
So I want to wish you a blessed and happy birthday.
Thank you.
How do you often celebrate your birthday? It's very quiet.
It depends on what I'm doing. I mean, very often I'm working, so that's that day.
You don't take a day off to just celebrate your life?
Well, in this business, if I called up and said, listen, I'm not coming to work today because it's my birthday, I think I'd lose that job. So usually those things happen on weekends, and I'll usually probably spend it with my kids.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah.
That's great. I mentioned a little while ago, you've been fighting a good fight behind the scenes and a challenging fight for diversity in Hollywood. A lot of people don't know that. How do you feel at this stage of the game things are progressing, if they are at all?
Well, they are progressing, and especially on television. I think that on television you'll see now more people of color than you have in the past. Film is another story. I mean, I have questions like, I loved Black Panther. I thought Black Panther was terrific. My first question, though, was how come it had to happen in Africa? How come that brother had to sort of save people in Africa, whereas all the other superheroes seem to take place here in this country.
Brother from another planet.
Exactly. So the brother from another planet landed in this country, you know, Ellis Island. So, but the other side of that coin, of course, is that that movie did very well. It was a black cast that did extremely well, beautiful cast. So that's something that we hadn't had in the past before.
Yes.
The industry put a lot of money into that film. Again, something we haven't had for a while. So for me, it's what I call half steps to the wall. So that the impression is you're getting closer to the wall, but you'll never reach perfection.
Wow. I hope we get closer to that wall better than we have been, though.
And we... You know, it depends on a lot of things because sometimes you make, 5 steps forward and then 4 steps back.
Look, this brother deserves an Oscar. I don't know what's been the hold up. You know, and I commend you on the Emmy and I commend you on the outstanding NAACP awards that you won.
Thank you.
But your work is far beyond that as well, and you should be recognized. And I think, actors of your caliber, we just don't get recognized as often as we should. But I'm praying that happens. And I'm sure it's not a concern for you, but just for us, it's a concern for us because, when we do good work and you have done an amazing body of work that I'm sure you could look back on and be proud of, it's good to have every kind of appreciation from the industry just as much as from the fan base.
It is. And then again, but then that's all sort of wound up with opportunity, obviously. So, and that's what I mean by half steps to the wall. So even though there are more opportunities, there's still not as many as we would like. What happened last year at the Oscars. So, La La Land gets announced accidentally because that's kind of the presumption of what's going to happen.
Right.
And when Moonlight, in fact, was the winner of that Oscar. So it's those kinds of things that we have to overcome. It's also, if we want stories told about us, then us who have the money need to put their money where their mouth is, so that in that way there's no more excuses. That way we are part of the industry. We can create the industry. It's for my mind, by the time the Oscars are being given out, it's too late. You've already spent your $10 or $12 to get into that film where we were not represented. So that's the vote that you cast.
I think this brother has minister in him. I know he's playing the role of minister, but I think this brother has minister in his DNA somewhere. But you can catch him being a minister every Sunday night on CBS. God friended me. It's a great kickoff. If you missed it this past Sunday, please don't miss it this coming Sunday and watch it.
Yeah, please come to church with us at CBS at 8 o'clock.
Yes. Despite of that game, because the game's going to be pushed aside because God is involved with this one. Trust and believe. Coming back with Joe Morton in just a moment. Right before we get inside with Confessions of Love tonight, we have the man, the legend himself, Joe Morton. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your company. Hopefully this is not going to be your last time visiting the Quiet Storm.
I should come back more often because I'm interested in all this other stuff that you do.
Now, you know what, Joe? I don't think you should because you're in a relationship. I'm a single man at the moment. I don't want to be, the finger of blame for you to get into trouble, especially if you're hanging around me for an extended period of time. So I like to keep my name respectable.
Okay.
Sunday nights, you'll find Joe Morton, of course, in the CBS hit drama.
That's right. 10.5 million people watched this last night.
Woo! That's a great number.
Yeah, that's a great number.
And it's going to grow. It's going to grow. I feel it because it's a great series. And you know what? The millennials are just going to enjoy it immensely because it relates to them.
It does. I mean, that's part of, again, what the series is about. It is hopefully to understand that, we spend most of our days these days looking down into some, as they say on TV, black mirror. And maybe what we should do is spend a lot more time sort of looking eye to eye.
And talking helps. Communication is quintessential.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, I know you have scored some music over the years. Can you share a couple of the scores or?
Well, they were small movies. I did a song called Perfect Tomorrows for a very small movie called Life Signs or Life something, so that it's happened. Now, what I'm trying to do, and then in Eureka, I wrote some music for Eureka when I was doing that series as well. It's been sort of the back part of my life. Music has been a part of me since I was about 10 or 12 years old. Yeah. I even at some point thought maybe I would be part of the music industry, and I have to tell you, I just hated it so much that I thought, you know what, I'll stick with acting.
How good are you? I know you say you're an avid tennis watcher.
Yes.
You play the game too?
I don't. Here's why I watch tennis.
Okay.
Many years ago, I was in London, and I was watching the television, and in those days, their television was better than ours in that there were there's better contrast, just more dots on the screen, so the pictures were better. And it happened to be a singles game of tennis. And I realized that those games are very much like what I do in terms of doing a scene. Somebody serves up a problem, serves up the point, and you battle back and forth for the point until somebody wins, and then you go on to the next point.
Got it.
So it's very much like acting in a scene. So that's what got me hooked into tennis.
Do you play any? Do you golf? Are you a chess player? Because I saw you.
I am a chess player. Yes.
Right.
Right.
Very strategic then.
So yeah, but my sort of physical thing is I go to the gym because that seems to be necessary.
But that's how you stay youthful. Yeah, I got you.
You know, and then the acting is mostly physical a lot of the time, and mental. That's right.
Sure. Well, I can't begin to tell you thank you so much for coming by tonight.
My pleasure.
It was an honor. I look forward to seeing this series and how it continues to unfold and develop, and what's the final outcome. I'm really anxious to find out what the final outcome is.
Well, hopefully you won't find out the final outcome until maybe 5 years from now.
Another 5-year run.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Joe Morton. You won't be able to see him on Scandal, but you damn sure can see him every Sunday on CBS in God Friended Me. It's a wonderful series, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you very much.
May God continue to bless and walk with you.
Thank you.
This is the Quiet Storm, baby.